Hey friends, welcome to episode 609 of the My 123 Cents podcast. I am Kevin Huntsberger once again going solo this week. As I mentioned last week, um, I'm recording this 2 weeks before the show drops. I am really, if you follow me on social media, you probably already know this. Hopefully, I have been able to post some content, but I am on vacation out of the country. So as you're listening to this or watching it, um, it is the second week of our 2 week vacation, and as I'm recording, I'm looking forward to that, and I'll have updates and have some social media content because in 2026, and I've not publicly said this yet, but in 2026, I kind of decided that I was going to post every day on TikTok, YouTube, and my Facebook page. I kind of made that commitment to the Facebook page a little late into the game. I'm not sure if I've posted daily on that page, but I can tell you that TikTok and YouTube, I have posted daily and hopefully knock on wood. And this week, as we're gearing up for the trip, as I'm recording this, I have been putting content in the can because I don't know what I'm going to be able to produce uh, in another country and post and what that's going to look like. So hopefully, and again, I'm knocking on wood because I do have some stuff in the can, and you've seen some of it drop. The Huntsberger Chronicles, for example, Poor Decisions, and some other this podcast, obviously as well. So uh, because I really am, well, one, I enjoy the role of content creator. And I know that some people probably roll their eyes when they hear that or think, what does that mean? Or whatever the case may be. But I've always, since social media became a thing, I've always enjoyed being on the creative side of things. And even before social media was, I guess social media was coming about when I started doing the blogging and of course the video creation and now podcasting and continuing to really up the game with the video content. And I have um, enjoyed that process a lot. And I think part of, with my niche, if you will, I this is a typically a wrestling podcast. I stretched it out and or expanded it, if you will, to do one at least once a month, do either a Q&A or do something non-wrestling related to talk about marketing, to talk about my life as a TV news anchor and reporter back in the day, to talk about Chuck E. Cheese, where I worked when I was in college. I did a whole series on my college years. So uh, those stories and things I think resonate with the general public and the people who do follow my other content better than a weekly wrestling podcast. And wrestling fans, I apologize if you're here for the wrestling talk this week. It'll be back next week, I promise. But I'm saying all that to say that this will be a shorter episode. I only got a couple of questions, and that's cool because, as I put things together and have come up with these different ideas, poor decisions and the Hunsberger Chronicles specifically, and then of course supplementing with the wrestling stuff. I have been doing some behind the scenes work, and I'm not going to really talk a lot about it because I think instead of talking about it, I'm just going to do it. But look for more content, some wrestling related, but a lot of it not, and doing new things, innovative things, creative things to keep it going. And this is actually kind of tying in with one of the questions as well, and I'll get to it in just a couple of minutes. But first, Tina Dudley asks, and Tina is a coworker of mine at Shawnee Community College. If you could be on a reality TV series that is currently airing, which one would it be and why? I don't watch a ton of reality shows anymore. When the genre started back in the day, I did watched a lot of it, watched many of them. Probably my favorite reality show of all time is the Real World on MTV. I remember I was a freshman in college when it came out. Demo audience, demo to be a part of something like that. And so for me, and I know the question was currently airing. So for my answer of not currently airing, it would be the Real World. I would have loved to have been on the Real World back in the day. Um, Current shows, you know, when Survivor first came out, my wife and I, we had met a couple. my wife was pregnant, the woman and the couple was pregnant, and we met in childbirth class, and we became fast friends. And we both the Survivor had just it was starting as our babies were born, and we were hanging out. And so every week on back then, I think Survivor was on Wednesday nights. Every Wednesday we would take turns hosting Survivor Party, and we did a whole big thing for the finale. I got coconuts and carved them out and served rice and fish in the coconuts, and we had a big time with it. And so that was 26 years ago. I was in my 20s still. And that at that time, yes, Survivor would have been my answer. And I know Survivor is still on today. I don't, as a 53-year-old, I don't think I could do it, but I could not. I probably am more mentally tough now than I was back then, but I was more physically than I am now, obviously. So it's a trade-off, and maybe the mental game I could do it. I don't know. Um, but Survivor would be something that I would think about. My wife and I have always joked, and my buddy Chad, for that matter, of doing the Amazing Race. Um, that would be fun. Uh, but again, the physicality of it, I don't know that I would be able to do it. Um, but really, honestly, if I had my choice, I'd create my own reality show, and I would make the Hunsberger Chronicles, work with Food Network and make it something more expansive, more than a 90-second or 60-second burger review, and have some fun with it, and have production and a crew and editors and people to bounce ideas off of, and to do it more of a show, and maybe take it even beyond just burgers. And I know that the shows like that are probably a dime a dozen on Food Network. Again, I don't watch a ton of TV anymore, so I don't know. But yeah, and it's funny because when I was recording an episode of the Hunsberger Chronicles in Las Vegas a couple of years ago, when I was there for a work conference, I was sitting in the food court at Caesar's Palace, which is where the conference was and where I was staying. And I was eating my first burger there at Bobby Flay Burgers. Great burger, by the way. Um, and as I was recording and I'm sitting at the table and I'm kind of doing all this myself, there was a family sitting next to me and they were watching. And as soon as I got done and I finished my food and everything, the mom leaned over and she's like, "Can I ask you a question?" And I'm like, "Sure." And she's like, "Do you work for the Food Network? What are you doing this for Food Network?" And I chuckled because, I'm like, "No, that would be awesome if I was, but no, I'm just doing this for YouTube and TikTok at the time." Just having some fun and, playing off of my name, and it's called the Hunsberger Chronicles. And so I think if I really had a choice of being on a reality show, it'd be creating my own and doing the burger reviews, maybe the poor decisions, maybe and all, like I said, a wider range of more than just burgers. But I do think burgers are kind of the catch and the niche and the fun thing that I do with this. And I'm able to play off of my name because of the Huns or the hamburger idea. So that's why I enjoy the Hunsberger Chronicles, because it's a little more, because I see other food people, foodies, if you will, on social, and they do their thing. But I think with the Hunsberger Chronicles, I like the uniqueness that I'm kind of tied to because of my name. And, I grew up loving hamburgers. So Kevin McCleary, who is a friend from Stride Pro Wrestling, a referee, did you enjoy being a reporter? Good things, bad things, etc. Do you miss it? And would you go back if you could? I'll answer that part first. No, I would not go back if I could. And I could. I think I could. I mean, I think I would be welcomed back. I wasn't fired. I did not leave under duress from TV news. And even if I weren't to go back to WSIL, the TV station that I worked at, I think I could find a job somewhere else. Um, Being a reporter was a very interesting time of my life. 23 years in the TV news business, 15 of that co-anchoring the morning show at WSIL. which I enjoyed doing that much more so than the reporting side of things. I liked kind of, uh, after a while becoming that leader in the newsroom. I'm not saying that to be braggy, docious, as my shirt says, stay humble. Um, but really, the early days of reporting and back in the late 90s when I became a reporter, it was super competitive. And I think I've talked about this before, but one job opening and there'd be 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 people applying for it. It was a very competitive business and it has changed a lot over the years. And that's another part of the reason why I wouldn't go back is just it's not the same business as it was 30 years ago when I got into it, which, is understandable. Um, but I enjoyed it. It was hard. It was mentally hard, and sometimes it was physically hard because in the early days, actually throughout my entire reporting career, there were times that I had to one man band or shoot my own video and edit and do all that. So that can become, but that first job I got in Florence, Alabama, I mean, that was one man band, and you were out on your own, getting video, getting perp walks of bad guys, getting cussed out and yelled at and spit at, and um, you know, it became an emotional, seeing car accidents and child deaths and fires and just bad things happening to good people. It becomes emotionally taxing on you. Um, so to that's the bad side, as Kevin asked about. The good side is those heartwarming stories, the family being reunited with a lost or a long lost loved one who has returned home from a war, or who a school that has received funding for something special to get equipment, someone who gets a life-saving surgery or transplant. Those were the stories that I was telling as well, and that's the good side of it. That is what keeps you going, keeps you motivated, seeing the human spirit come out. And back in the day, I think people embraced and liked those stories. They liked to see the positive side of things. And I think that we're in a society today where it's more everyone's more negative. That's just, you look at people who create content now and it's rage bait. They're saying controversial things just to get a reaction. They're posting stuff on Twitter or on X or on Facebook. They'll misspell something on purpose so people will engage with the post and be negative about it. And then people turn, you look at the comment section on any local TV news Facebook page, and it's negative by and large. Whether it's something political or whether it's, what color is this pin? People would argue that it's bright yellow or it's green or it's, off blue, whatever the case may be. People are going to find something to argue and fight about. So, yeah, in that regard, I don't miss that because as I was leaving 7 years ago from the business, it was trending that way. There was a lot more negativity and a lot more people uh, who were not afraid to voice that negativity. So um, would not go back, but do not regret what I did by any means. It gave me a level of confidence. It gave me a level of, I think I grew as a person over those 22 years. Obviously, I would have grown in any position, but I think I grew as a journalist and as a someone who consumes the news and helps to, um, write those stories and help others write and develop and become and hone their skills as a journalist or as a reporter, an anchor, a producer, whatever the case may be. Um, those are the things that I miss. The people, of course, and I'm fortunate to keep in touch, and because of social media, we are able to keep in touch with friends and those who worked with many, 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 many years ago. So again, grateful that I had the opportunity, that I did it, and I don't think I'd be where I'm at today on a level of being able to create content and be comfortable creating content and doing this podcast and having the wrestling announcing background and doing all those other things I did had it not been for my experience in TV news and making those connections as well and talking to folks and learning things and so I'm grateful for the opportunity to say the very least. But that is it. Just a couple of questions. Like I said, I appreciate Kevin and Tina for weighing in and sending questions. As always, if you have questions, I'm going to do this once a month where I'm either answering questions or I'm talking about specific topics. So if you don't have a question but have a topic idea that you want me to talk about, feel free to weigh in and leave that in the comment section. Send me a message, whatever the case may be. So, friends, hopefully be back here in the seat next week as you're watching or listening to this, and hopefully not too terribly jet lagged. Thanks for listening and or watching to this week's episode, and we will see you next time.